In the heart of Central Asia, beneath the ancient Silk Road, lies a little-known country caught between Russia and China's fight to control global energy markets. Most people think gas companies are solely responsible for energy prices, and that's true to an extent. But energy prices are also being manipulated by geopolitical powers. Their aim? Strangle new supply to Western countries for their own strategic leverage. Right now, there's a gas field in Central Asia. It's the second largest in the world, with enough reserves to power Europe for 80 years. It's bigger than anything in North America, but the country that owns it can't sell into the European market. Why? Because Russia blew up their pipeline. In this video, I'm going to show you how geopolitics is dominating energy markets. First, how infrastructure becomes a weapon. Second, how smaller nations become dependent on global powers. And third, how the biggest gas reserves in the world can become worthless overnight. This is the story of how our energy supply is controlled and manipulated by great powers, how pipelines became weapons, and how nations with great potential to transform their citizens' lives through energy become vassal states. Let's start with Turkmenistan, a country most people can't find on a map, but it's one that sits on 27.4 trillion cubic meters of natural gas. That's enough energy to replace all of the Russian gas Europe was buying for the next century. For decades, the story was simple. Soviet pipelines carried Turkmen gas north through Russia to Europe. The arrangement worked. Moscow took its fees, Turkmenistan collected its payments, Europe got its energy. But then at 4:30 a.m., April 9, 2009, a massive explosion destroyed the Central Asia Center pipeline. Russia blamed technical problems. Turkmenistan blamed sabotage. Here's what actually happened. Russia realized that cheap Central Asian gas was competing with their own expensive exports to Europe, so they eliminated the competition. Not through market forces or negotiations, but by cutting off access and reasserting their own control. The explosion forced Turkmenistan to shut down 150 gas wells overnight. Their economy collapsed. When Russia finally allowed repairs to the pipeline, they cut Turkmenistan's imports from 80 billion cubic meters per year to basically zero. This was the moment Turkmenistan learned a lesson that would reshape their future. In the modern world, whoever controls the pipelines controls everything. While Turkmenistan bled money 800 miles to the east, another great power was watching and waiting. China had begun construction of the Central Asia-China pipeline system years before the Russian explosion. The timing was not coincidental. Beijing offered what Moscow wouldn't: guaranteed purchases, steady infrastructure investment, and a future. But futures, as Turkmenistan would learn, come with a price. Today, China pays $187 per 1,000 cubic meters for Turkmen gas. During Europe's energy crisis, those same volumes were worth nearly $2,000 in European markets. That's a 90% discount. Turkmenistan now sends 64% of its gas exports to China, not because Chinese markets are better, but because they're the only markets Turkmenistan can reach. This is how you engineer dependency without firing a shot. The most resource-rich countries aren't always the most powerful. Sometimes they're the most trapped. Iran tried to help by offering transit routes, but soon stopped paying their bills. Another unreliable and untrustworthy partner. When Iran had accumulated $1.8 billion in debt by 2017, Turkmenistan finally cut them off. So here you have a country with enough gas to reshape global energy markets, selling to one customer at basement prices because of a designed geographic dependency. But there is a solution. It lies beneath 300 kilometers of Caspian seawater, a pipeline that could connect Turkmenistan directly to European markets. $5 billion in construction costs for hundreds of billions in trade value. The Trans-Caspian pipeline would run 300 kilometers underwater from Turkmenistan to Azerbaijan, connecting to existing pipelines that already deliver gas to Europe. Turkmenistan could access European markets paying 10 times more than China. Europe could reduce dependence on Russian gas, and Azerbaijan could become a major energy hub. Everyone wins, right? Wrong. Russia opposes it because cheap Central Asian gas would compete with their exports. Iran opposes it because regional energy dominance is their only geopolitical leverage. Even though the 2018 Caspian Sea Convention legally cleared the project, Two of the world's most power-hungry and dangerous countries find ways to block financing and create environmental concerns. Meanwhile, China has zero interest in losing their discount supplier. Why would they help Turkmenistan access better markets? The pipeline that would free Turkmenistan and provide Europe much-needed alternative supply remains a pipe dream. Not because of engineering challenges, but because great powers prefer their strategic leverage. In the end, Turkmenistan's story is not about natural gas, but it is about power. A country with the world's largest onshore gas field, selling to one customer at 90% discounts because infrastructure is controlled by governments, not markets. This is how energy really works. Geopolitics matters more than geology. Pipeline routes matter more than reserve sizes. And sometimes, the countries with the most resources have the least power to use them. Great powers matter more than energy companies when it comes to energy prices. And understanding the game at the heart of global energy markets is the difference in seeing how the world actually works. If this changed how you think about energy markets, hit like and subscribe. It really helps my channel.